Hey, today I'm talking about 3 movies that are all about death and existential crisis. It's great. The names of the 3 movies we're talking about are The Suicide Squad, Our Friend, and Val. What the stuff is The Suicide Squad. I had to explain what this movie is to one of my friends, so I'm gonna do it now too, even though I feel like you should know what this movie is. So, this isn't directed by the same guy who made the previous Suicide Squad. It's also not a sequel to it, not really, and it's also not a soft reboot that everyone just keeps saying it is, but it's not. What even is that? It's written and directed by James Gunn. He got approached by DC after he was stupidly fired from Disney. And then before Marvel could snatch him back up again, he had this deal locked in. And yeah, it's freaking great. I loved it a lot. It had everything I wanted. It had a ton of characters dying very, very bloody deaths, like well-known actors dying. It was great. It just being silly and ridiculous. It also had like a ton of heart that just, you know, carried you through the whole movie. And just great action and just great story and just great everything. It just works. It also features a K-Flay song. I love K-Flay so much, and it makes me feel good that she's in more stuff. You don't need to have seen the other one to see this one. I without a doubt recommend it. It's terrific. My favorite character is Sebastian. He is just... he's so great, and I love him so much. Ratcatcher 2 is also just great. They're definitely like the heart of the movie, and it works a lot. I also really like that they let Harley Quinn just kind of go off on her own adventure, because that's kind of where she really shines, is just off being her own ridiculous self. And even speaking of Harley Quinn, I loved that they didn't sexualize her like the last one. Like the last one, it's notorious for having just so many booty shots, but this one, not even a little bit. She's wearing like a big fluffy dress. You don't even get like cleavage stuff, and I love that. It's great. But she's still a freaking great, badass, psycho, crazy person. This movie's great, it's fun, it's a blast. It has like a 96% of Rotten Tomatoes, and yeah, it deserves it. It's a great movie. Go see it if you somehow already haven't seen it. It's awesome. Next up is Our Friend. It's gonna be really, really hard for me to not cry while talking about this movie. I cried so much during this movie. It's been a while since I've cried during a movie. And like, it takes a good amount to make me cry. And this movie just like kept doing it over and over again. And I'm like, stop it. And then like while I was practicing my review earlier, I full on stopped and just sobbed for a few minutes. And I'm like, hey, can I go get a hug from someone real quick? This movie stars Casey Affleck, Jason Segel, and Dakota Johnson. And it is based on an article from 2015 that is a memoir about the author's life, specifically around his wife getting cancer. So the movie is about this married couple and their very, very good friend and just their relationship with all of that, and them just kind of dealing with one of this really tight-knit group dying. It's really sad. Like, technically I could complain and say that it felt like a little long and a little slow, but like it delivers on the emotions. And like, I cried during the credits. I was just like, I can't. Like, the saddest stuff happened earlier from there. Don't think about that line. There is one line in there that just destroys me. I just can't. I was gonna like hint at it, but no, I can't. And what really like crushed me too was like, I could see myself in Jason Segel's character a lot, like both in good ways and in bad ways. And I'm just like, what does that mean? And what am I supposed to do with my life? What is going on? And just like all these big existential questions. And it's rough. I could also complain about like everyone's age differences being kind of funky, because like Jason Segel's 9 years older than Dakota Johnson, and Casey Affleck is 14 years older than her, but like they're all supposed to be roughly the same age. I can easily forgive any of this movie's faults because it fundamentally works, and It's a damn good story, and I think it's an important story because it deals with death in a very, very realistic way, and I think it's going to be very helpful for people who are going through similar circumstances. And there are definitely a lot of people who are experiencing or have experienced what happens in this movie, and I think it'll be the hug that they need. I really, really recommend this one. If you need a good cry, this is a go-to movie. You're gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. I'm probably gonna cry after I'm done with this review. I laugh because it's true. And lastly is Val. This movie is about Val Kilmer. If you're unfamiliar, he in recent years had throat cancer, and then because of the radiation and stuff, he actually lost his voice. And then also, he spent most of his life recording his life, so he actually has thousands and thousands of hours of footage that they incorporated into this. And so the movie's just kind of about his career and more so about where he's at now. And it was pretty good. It was definitely interesting, and it's a very, very sad movie as well. There's not really any moments where you're just like, yay, happy life stuff. It's more like 95%, oh, we're all gonna die, things are really sad, this is sad, type of thing. He's not dead yet, by the way. Still alive and kicking. He beat cancer. I wish this documentary would have focused a little less on where Val is right now and dived more into his archival footage. He has a ton of it. Like, there's definitely stories you can tell without current Val chiming in on anything. And I think the best parts of the movie are when they just kind of let those old stories play out. And like, it doesn't have to be stuff about, you know, the big movies. Like, obviously we do need to see stuff from his big movies. You could also do like home movie stuff too, and they did do a decent amount, but just more would have been nice. Especially like going into like other relationships besides the woman that he married and other friends, because he really doesn't talk about his friends at all. The best part of the movie was definitely during the Dr. Zhivago part, because they really let the clips play there. In particular, there was one part where he has this big argument with the director. And like, even though the camera is not pointed at anything, just their conversation is so heated and so intense, you don't need to have the camera pointed to make its point. Just more stuff like that. I have to imagine there is more stuff like that in there that they could have showed us. And like, seeing current Val is heartbreaking. I think they could have used that more as just kind of like an emotional gut punch more towards the end of it. Like, still have him like in the beginning and then like sprinkle in little bits of him throughout, but then really like see more of him right at the end. But instead he's just kind of there for a lot of it. I don't know, but it was still good. I still enjoyed it. I like stuff like this. Like, I read a decent amount of celebrity memoirs. I find those interesting, even if they are biased. And I would say if like you're a fan of Val Kilmer, it's worth a watch. Or if you just want to be sad for 2 hours, it's worth a watch. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. It's weird to smile after talking about being sad. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Our Friend, sitting at number 5 in the really liked category. And then right behind that is The Suicide Squad, sitting at number 6. I feel like it's probably gonna be the best superhero movie of the year. I mean, Far From Home is coming out this year, so that's kind of the bigger toss-up, but it definitely will be an uphill battle for Far From Home. And then bringing up the rear is Val, sitting at number 25 in the Quite Like section. And this is out of a total of 37 new movies so far this year, and out of a grand total of 219 movies so far this year.